Hi guys, so in this video we'll be looking at the midpoint formula and how we find out what the midpoint is in a line or between two coordinate points. Alright, so let's just look at two brief coordinate points. I'll just draw them up on the right over here. So let's just say I had a coordinate point 3 and 1. Whoops, the one's gone missing. And 1. Another coordinate point up here, and I'll just say that is 7 and 5. Alright. And I'll draw a line between these two coordinate points. Cool. So the midpoint of this line, or between these two coordinate points, would obviously be dead center. Alright. Now, looking at that, it may be harder to determine the midpoint. But what we could do is, we could actually look at what the difference or the midpoint between the x's would be and then the midpoint of the y's. Okay, because remember, this coordinate point would have some x and y. It won't be just one number. So what I'll do is I'll obviously draw a straight line down there. And I'll draw a line across there. Cool, and obviously it makes a nice right angle triangle for me. Alright. Now, this line over here, this vertical line, is at x equals 7. And then this line over here is at x equals 3. Alright. Now, this point over here, the x value for this would be right center of 3 and 7. It would be right in the middle of that, right? So that x value over there, okay, that will determine the x value of our midpoint. And we can find that, right? And the way we find it is obviously when you're finding a midpoint, you want to add those two numbers together and divide it by 2. Alright? And let's have a look at that. So if we add the two numbers together, so we've got 3 plus 7 divided by 2. Well, that equals 10 divided by 2, and therefore that equals 5. Now, if this x coordinate over here is at 5, that means it must have an equal distance from there to that point, and there to that point. Okay, these distances, okay, I'll just name it A and A, should be exactly the same. Okay, so let's look at it. Well, the distance from 3 to 5 is 2. Okay, well, 5 minus 3, which equals 2. And the distance from 5 to 7 is also 2. 7 minus 5 is equal to 2. And we can find that both these distances are equal. Therefore, 5 is the x-coordinate of our midpoint between these two coordinates. Now, you would have guessed correct. If we found x in that way, y would be the exact same. So, this y point over there is at 5. And this y value over there is at 1. And our midpoint is obviously dead center. Okay, right in between 5 and 1. Okay, and most of you guys are looking and go, well, between 5 and 1, we get 3. Alright, that's probably just a rough guess. Most of you guys would have guessed it. But we can also find it using our formula. So we'll go 1 plus 5 over 2, which equals 6 over 2, which equals 3. Alright, and we can check, well, does this have the same distance? Well, from 1 to 3, the distance between 1 to 3 is 2. And from 5 to 3 is also 2, alright? 5 minus 3 equals 2. 3 minus 1 equals 2. So therefore that distance is exactly the same. Therefore our midpoint is 5 and 3. And you come up with this formula for midpoint. I'll write it out down here. The midpoint formula is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. And you use this formula to determine the midpoint between two coordinate points. Alright? Hopefully that helps, guys, and you look at how midpoint is. The way I look at it is, if you're looking at distances, you're minusing the two x values. With midpoint, you are adding. Okay, and I learned this really good trick from a teacher of mine. Okay, if you write down midpoint, and you write down add, okay, and since the third letter is D, and they match up, right, you are adding the two x values together. Alright, hopefully that trick helps, guys. right? But otherwise, just remember that formula. Okay, x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. Thanks, guys.